hope you can't see my moustache. So, I have my little book here. Today I'm going to be talking about my PTSD/anxiety. When I say anxiety, I am talking about both, so PTSD and anxiety. That's just what I call it, anxiety, but it is more PTSD. So, how my anxiety affects me. I want to put it in a way that you'll understand it, but it is more than how I explain it. I just can't put it into words. Can you imagine knowing that you're going to get a fright, but not knowing when it's going to happen? So you're waiting for the fright, tension builds in your body, and then when you get the fright, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you because it feels like a knife slicing through your body. That's what happens to me multiple times a day. It also affects me, I'll just say it. So I get kind of like tics. I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, but like it's kind of like a release. So I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, fuck. And I can't help it, but like it's a release. So I don't want to stop it because I know that it helps me. So one time in the supermarket, don't know what was happening, but I was really, really anxious and I was blocking my ears and I just went, fuck. And this old lady was like, oh, excuse you. And my husband gets so defensive and he doesn't say anything, of course, because he doesn't like confrontation, but he gets so defensive. Like, we get out to the car and he's like, oh, fuck her, she doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, I know. Like, what can you do though? It also affects what I wear, what I can wear, like clothing wise and shoe wise, and socks. If I don't feel like stable in what I'm wearing, then I'll have to change. So if it's too tight, I'll have to change. If I'm wearing jandals and I feel like I'm gonna slip or I'm going to fall over, I'll change my shoes. Once I was out and about and I had to go and buy some shoes because I didn't feel stable. I felt like I was going to fall over. So, what people say about my anxiety, lots. So, people have said, oh, you're still doing that, talking about me blocking my ears. Why do you still have anxiety? Oh, I thought you were faking for attention. What else? Oh, she is just faking it. Why can't you just get over it? And like right now I'm laughing about it because like how fucking stupid is that? But also fuck you for judging me because you ain't no angel. And this is from multiple people too. So um and the thing is with people saying shit about me and my anxiety, I don't actually care until my anxiety is getting on top of me. And then I just shut everyone out. Fuck you all. I don't want to borrow you. Like, I don't care about you. Don't ever fucking talk to me again. But when I calm down, when I'm not so anxious, I'm like, oh yeah, happy, happy, joy, joy again. But when I'm in that moment, yeah, like you're not my best friend. You'll never be my best friend. I don't want you in my life. And like I said, you. And just like, how stupid is that? How stupid is, oh, why can't you just get over it? Of course I can't get over it. I have had this for 11 years. If I could get over it, I would. it's not that simple. And people have said, like, oh, why don't you just go and get some counselling? That leads me on to my next subject. What I've tried doing about it. Medication. Probably all of the different types of medication I've tried. Counselling, I've been to, I want to say like half a dozen to a dozen. I've also done tapping acupuncture, meditation, and breathing. Something breathing. Can't remember. What helps it is driving because it takes my mind off it, alcohol, but the next day it's fuck 1,000 times worse because I say that like it's borrowing happiness and I'm paying for it the next day. But a lady that I went to actually told me that yeah, it is common that anxiety is worse the next day after drinking, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What else? Exercise, although it is hard doing it because I'm just so anxious and I just want to sit down and block my ears. But I do feel 100 times better after I exercise. And my husband said shopping. I guess it does take my mind off my anxiety, although, like, it's hard because when I'm walking around, I'm blocking my ears sometimes. And yeah, so that's kind of like, yeah, iffy. Oh, so also, a part of my coping mechanisms, I rubbed my toes together, I rubbed my fingers together, and I blocked my ears. My husband's back. I wonder if he wants to be in the video with me. I'll ask him. So, um, how my husband supports me. How do you support me?
I knew you were going to do that too.
Well,
Just do anything and everything.
you do everything for me.
No, no, that you need. Because obviously it's such a fluid state. It's not constant, like from one second to another.
Yeah.
Even in between activities, like you might be bad at the start, so it's just me starting it off for you.
Mm. What are you talking about? The washing last night, or?
Oh, literally anything, like cleaning the guinea's cage.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, again, it's so difficult because there's so many tasks. Like, definitely something like cooking with a trigger, like if you're frying bacon in the pan or something and you're worried some oil's gonna, or putting something hot in the oven, or taking, pouring vegetables, putting them into the boiling water, or something
Or
where
like
that
draining the
potential that you could get
water.
a burn or a fright or a,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like a shock, like a hot oil jumping out and grabbing you randomly, because you've got that crack as well as the spit, and then
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so obviously.
And yesterday I thought about how you used to, and sometimes you still do this, like sit me down, put your forehead to my forehead, and you just breathe with me, and you make me breathe.
Yeah, just try and center you and
Yeah.
calm you in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, your like control over yourself is always like fluctuating.
Yeah.
So I can see when you're
because
really
I'm
gaining it
flustered.
or losing it, and I can see when I need to step in and like do it for you, because otherwise you can't like regulate.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be worse if I let you keep trying to tough it out and do it the hard way, rather than if I just, because it's really hard, because how you are as a person, like your strength and your determination and stuff, you want to just like fight through it and make it worse for yourself, or like you have a different understanding how it feels. You know it's going to suck either way, so you're like, I'm just going to get it over with, and you know, because it's not like, you know, people think, oh, okay, so you have to do something like a task that could affect it. So just like go lay on the bed and like play some calming music or like watch TV, go to your happy place. Like I could do that, you know, like I could just sit down, play PlayStation and zone out,
Yeah.
and nothing will enter that. Like,
Yeah.
but you can't.
No.
Like no matter what you go and do, it doesn't. There's no safe little bubble where you're in
There's
bed
no
and it's
switching
dark
off.
and it's warm and the candles on and yeah, there's no way for you to just have your break. So it's really hard because I know like when I'm doing the guinea cage or when I'm doing whatever, like what's motivating me is getting to the reward at the end. Like I want to get everything done so we can relax and play PlayStation or watch something.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, I know that going and watching something isn't like it's not how it is for me.
No.
But for you, it's kind of just like, you're very like, this is life, this is what needs to be done, this is what's part of the day, this is what we're going to get done today.
It's
so
because it's been 11 years, so like even though my anxiety is just as bad, I cope with it better now. So I am like, instead of, you know, when I used to just lie in bed crying, not being able to get up, like now I'm like, yeah, this is life, this is my life. I have to get I have to get it over and done with, like,
because you know it's going to be years. There's no way you can just say, well, I won't.
Because it has been years.
Or there never may be like after anxiety, then I can worry about doing this stressful thing, like trying to find a way to get a new car or move or find, you know,
or starting a family,
anything that everyone else just like their
takes
life
for granted.
progression just naturally goes like that.
Yeah.
Whereas we have to like plan stuff. Like we have to get stuff done, and then once stuff's done, then we can look at what we can do to try and like, okay, now all the chores of the evening are done. Now we can go for a walk or go for a drive or go walk around the shop or something. And then it's different too with like seasonal. Like in the summer, it might be like, let's go walk along the beach because that's really good for you.
Yeah,
like, and sit on the sand
even
and
though
listen to the ocean and that.
it is hard, but I do get like, you know, my anxiety does calm down, you know, after a while, but still it calms down.
Whereas in the winter, it might be like darker and rainy and, you know, you're not so much want to go for a walk, so you go around the shop.
Yeah.
Although we have just gone and walked up the hills in the middle of the rain before, like if that's what we feel is needed at that time.
If it's raining, if it's winter, we usually go more concrete, so there's no chance of slipping.
Yeah.
Whereas in the summer...
I've been out to like a bike ride before and seen like a place where I'm like, oh, I'd love to walk with Nae.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, there's no way we're going to be able to do that for the next few months.
Yeah.
Always like slippery and whatever.
Yeah.
But you just do the same stuff but different ways. You just find, you know, look at your options and then. But I think it's good. Like we don't just like go like, oh, there's nothing we can do, so we're just going to sit here, or oh, we're just going to go have takeaways or whatever because there's like nothing else we can do but go out for
Although
food.
sometimes we do that.
Yeah, but not just
not so much nowadays because we are trying to lose weight, but yeah, we do sometimes still do that.
Yeah, but we're not like, oh well, we can't do anything else, so that's it, and then, you know.
Yeah. And I was talking to you about how I don't like getting engrossed in like a TV show or a movie because I don't like sitting there without being able to move, because like if I'm so anxious that I need to get up and move, because it used to be that I had to sit down and block my ears, but
it's
now...
constantly been evolving. You've always had to find out like what works for you now, and that's constantly changed you've had to adapt. Like it's never been like just finding the the medicine, and then once you've found out what the magic thing is, then you just keep following that recipe and you're fine. Like what works today
won't work
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you really got to take each day one day, sometimes 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second, whatever at a time.
Yeah.
And just be able to have be able to be fluid enough to just be able to stop in the middle of doing something.
Yeah.
And then just completely
And I think like people think I'm weird because I don't like going to the movies, or I don't like sitting and watching just hours of TV. Or
that
like
definitely, yeah, it's annoying that you can't enjoy something that I enjoy, like going to the movies.
Yeah.
But you forcing yourself through it when we used to do things like that more often, like you do start to see it from, like, it's so annoying how often you're sitting there and then some random person like shouts out, like, in like a not cool way, like yelling at the screen, or even just something completely natural, like screaming in a horror, or getting a fright,
or like a fright, yeah,
or like laughing at a comedy. Something like that is just so normal to be sitting in the movie theatre and then everyone laughs. That's like part of for some people that would be like a part they really like, is having that connected experience with the audience. But for you, that's all just potential triggers of giving you a fright. And then you throw in stuff like kids being in there and crying, and young kids
especially
yelling
because
out
you
and
don't like
stuff.
horrors. But then I started not liking horrors because of the frights, the jump scares and stuff.
And you can't just like turn around and tell some lady like stop screaming, or some guy, or like it's really hard like existing in a shared space with the rest of the world, but also still doing stuff, not just going, I don't want to go and do that because of how we'll be affected or will affect others. You've still got to go to the same supermarket as everyone else and do your groceries. And
I told them about how that lady in the supermarket
told you off for swearing. It's
it's
like PTSD, anxiety, whatever. It's so tricky, like compared to some other things. Like I feel like, mind you, maybe I just don't know because I don't really have experience with that kind of thing. But in my head, I feel like if you saw someone with Tourette's swear, you wouldn't like say, "Hey, don't do that," because they've got Tourette's. But maybe, that is part of it for people with Tourette's. They do, I'm sure, actually thinking about it, they do have those experiences where they like can't help it, and people are telling them off
because they don't know.
Like you don't tell someone off that has the flu every time they blow their nose off, they sneeze when they've got allergies, because you can't help it. It's a medical, and it's exactly the same with these various, mental health issues. It's kind of interesting how many times you can keep learning and having realizations and then having things click. Like it just did then for me. You're like, oh my goodness, I wonder if, and then just since you don't really have experience with other things, and I'm sure that's what it's like for others with us, it's so hard, something that's so normal for you to try, and even to people that have known us for years, like family and stuff, like they're about as familiar as possible, same as me. Like there's people that have,
but I feel like
longer, and it's different.
I feel like there are
been
people who accept it and like want to know about it, but then there are people who are just like, it's anxiety, you can get over it,
We've been together like every second for like 9 years as well, so being there 24/7 is completely different than, you go through everything with me and as other people. It's just like, how is that? It might be something like, my anxiety played up a little bit, but we got through it in the end, and it's like, oh well, that's good. Of course your anxiety would play up, but you did get through it. That's good. But that really brushes over like the 1,000 little moments that you had to go through, like of what actually entails. They're like, oh yeah, we got through it. It was a bit hard, but it's done. But at the time, it's like,
and I've also said like people saying stuff about my anxiety, like, oh, why can't you get over it? I thought you were just faking for attention.
It's so hard. Like if you just always lied and said like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. It hasn't been bad at all lately. People would just be like, oh, then when they see it bad, oh, why is it bad now? But if you were like, no, it's always bad. It's been so bad. Like even if it had been, then after a while, I've just been like, oh, terrible, terrible, terrible. You know, it gets a bit like people are like, so it's hard because it is so like, oh, she was just so good yesterday or so bad yesterday. What's so different about today?
Yeah, so
like, oh, when you didn't want to put the dishes away, it was bad.
Yeah.
But now that dishes away, you're fine and you can flip and do this. Like, you know, it looks like, oh, she just didn't want to put the dishes away. But actually, it's just how it is.
So, like people...
Especially because they want to understand what was the trigger, what was the reason, why was it bad when the dishes were happening, now it's not.
But I don't know.
And I didn't bang any cupboards, I didn't clink anything together, why were you still... It's even like, oh, well, you knew in your head the dishes were going on, so it was worse, or like, whatever, I don't know, like, but that's just how it is. And that's just part of
So when people, like, say stuff about it, like, does that grind your gears? Does that piss you off? Like, it pisses me off. But, like it does, like I said, it doesn't piss me off until it gets on top of me, until my anxiety gets on top of me, and then it, like, festers in my mind what other people have said, and I don't know why, because I don't actually give a shit about what people have said about me.
Whatever you don't get it to, like, I'm angry because what you're saying is triggering me.
Yeah.
Whereas I go from, like, it, like, hurts me when people don't get it. Like, you know, it's so obvious and clear and they can't get it. Even, you know, even if you explain it anyway, it won't do anything. It'll just be like, oh. Like, so I'll go from that to, like, to being annoyed after because, like, I feel helpless. Like, you know, in certain scenarios, there's nothing you can do about it, like how other people feel, or, you know, I've tried everything, eh? And even been in the paper with being like, we've tried everything. What do we do? And what comes
No,
out of
that lady came out of that though.
Yeah, but then after that, like,
and she taught me the breathing.
So everything, yeah.
Even though, and again, like, so with my counselling and stuff, it didn't work, but I would always quit because my anxiety got on top of me, and like I couldn't make it there that day, and then the next day, and then the next day, because my anxiety got on top of me.
You know, oh, I've got an appointment Tuesday at 3, and then then you're like...
Yeah, so I'm just like, yes, in my mind festering.
And the closer you get to it, or the longer you're waiting for that, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Especially when it's stuff happening, like, while I'm at work and I can't really, like, take you there and do whatever to help you get through the appointment. Like, if you've got to go and drive there and go yourself, like...
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. And then always things are during the day, you know? It's never like...
Like, I have my car right now, but I can't seem to get myself out of the house by myself right now because it is so bad.
It's even like just going for a walk around the street or block or whatever, eh? Like...
Yeah, and I will do that if I have chat here, but I won't do it by myself. So, next topic is, so, getting addicted to pills, like painkillers and prescription medications.
Well, how did it start?
Can't remember, but I was prescribed tramadol, was it? Yeah. So I was prescribed tramadol. I don't know what happened, but then I realised that the tramadol was, you know, giving me a little bit of a buzz and it was taking my anxiety away, even if it was just for a while. So then I upped it, and then I just started taking other pills. prescription pills, so like my antidepressants with my
which is what they prescribe you when you have anxiety.
yeah.
If you have depression or anxiety, you get the same medication, antidepressants.
Yeah. And then it got to the point where it was putting me to sleep.
Because obviously, when you had you started with like the weakest antidepressants, and then you keep
and then they upped.
Until you're on the strongest ones. And then it's like having one of those or having two of those.
And plus on top of the painkillers, and then it was putting me to sleep. And I can't remember, I told you or did you used to come home to me asleep and it was only like 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I was trying to think whenabouts I would have been finished at 9. Yeah, either finishing at 8 or 8 3 days a week and 9 3 or 4 days a week and 9 once or twice a week.
Yeah. So you would come home and find me asleep, and like, what was going on in your mind? Like, I don't think you had any idea, right? And then I told you.
Well, because you know that anxiety obviously takes a lot out of you mentally.
Yeah.
So I guess I would have just assumed that like you'd had a big day, and just because and then you feel the same when you've been working. You've been like, oh, it's been a long day or a tough. So I guess I just thought your days were like mine. Obviously different because I was at work. But obviously you're working. You're doing stuff around the house. So. Just think that you're tired or you've gone to sleep maybe to have a little break, because sleeping is like a break from anxiety. Well, obviously it's a break from everything.
Yeah, and then that became an addiction too. So like I became addicted to medication, but then I liked it putting me to sleep. But I didn't realize like how dangerous that was, because you don't know how many, is too many. And then I told you, and then you like cried about it and stuff, and I cried about it. And
I remember walking in one time and you had like a handful of tablets in your hand.
That was when we moved here.
Moved to Christchurch.
Yeah. So we moved to Christchurch, and
back to Christchurch.
And like I was just sitting in the dark with a handful of pills there, and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I was crying.
Obviously,
I just can't do this anymore.
It's hard hearing it, but it's obviously hard seeing it.
And the thing is, like, I'm not suicidal, right? Like, I'm not. I don't want to kill myself, but sometimes I don't want my anxiety anymore. Obviously, all the time, but it gets on top of me.
You just want to go to sleep so that you don't have it.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to wake up and have it again, which means you have to just not wake up.
Yeah. So, I don't want to kill myself. I just want my anxiety to go away. And it gets on top of me like that. It hasn't for a while, like not like that. Right now, my getting on top of me is like standing in the shower. The other day, standing in the shower with my head on the wall, and I'm just like crying and like going crazy, trying to get it out of me. And that's why like I yell and scream, because
it's like trying to physically manifest something that is mental. Like the mental things don't exist in the physical world, so it's like trying to have a physical form of this thing that you can control, that you can do something about, so that you can feel like.
So like I'll throw stuff, and Reese will just be like, "Oh, why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh," you usually say, "Oh, did that help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it did," because you don't know that it's helping me, right?
I can't really say anything about that.
Because that seems so stupid, like throwing something that seems so stupid, but then I've seen like there are places where you can go to smash stuff.
Yeah,
to
throw
like
plates at the wall.
yeah, and to get it out of your system, and it's the real thing. Like that helps you. That helps me. Throwing stuff, slamming things, yelling, like it helps me.
But it's just a bummer when it's something impromptu that's like, oh,
I
that's
know.
broken now, we need to buy a new one. That was expensive.
Yeah, no. It's never been expensive. Like, it's never been something expensive.
Spending money.
Like, I wouldn't go and break a TV.
No, yes. Well.
And I feel like I need to put this out there. I don't hit my husband.
You're throwing,
I don't throw shit at you.
You're throwing my controller and my headset. That was
okay, first of all, yeah, it was your headset. And it only broke a little bit. It was still usable. You just got rid of it, didn't you? Was it that one? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Or was it your black one?
I don't know.
Can't remember. It didn't really break. It just like broke a little bit. But yeah, I don't throw things at him per se. And he doesn't make me angry. Well, I mean, you piss me off a little bit, but not like that. It's just trying to get my anxiety out of me. So yeah, I'll just like throw something on the ground or...
That's where it keeps coming back to that Tourette's, like it's like a tick.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like it's a physical,
but
like a scream or a yell or your hand, just whatever you're holding, just, you know. It's like,
I'm not like you though. I don't just like throw shit.
No, but it is like a yeet. You just.
It's not like, oh.
You're just like. You know.
But it isn't. So I explained it like it is like a tick, but it isn't because I can not do that.
Yeah.
I can not swear. It just helps me get it out of me.
Mm.
Oh, it seems so crazy. Oh well.
I think it's only natural for if you find anything that can help when there's so much that can't. Obviously, like that's so beneficial to be able to have things as simple as being able to just say a word or throw something, and then that can make a difference to that second. Especially if in that particular second you're like, you know, the hair on the camel's back away from breaking, and that little thing to get you through that 1 second can be the difference between just everything carrying on or just everything going to meltdown.
And also like talking about like stuff that's on my mind, and you'll say, oh, why are you thinking about that? But like if it's on my mind, I have to get it out.
Yeah, definitely in public. Like if you start talking to me about stuff in public, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no. And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm never going to see these people again.
No, I worry about like
what people,
their reaction having an effect on you. If someone's like, don't talk about that here, and then you being like,
like, fight me. Is that what you're afraid of?
No, I just don't want anything like, because that will upset you more. Like, I don't want anything to like.
But it is though, isn't it? Like, if someone says something to me and I'm just like, what? Fight me? Like, that's your worst nightmare.
Well, you could go flipping crazy and then get locked up or something. You don't know what consequences like actions can have. It's easier, well, it's better. Like it's easy
just
for
be
me
like,
to say that, for it to just not happen. Like,
don't talk about
just
that.
get you through that.
And I don't like being told off either, so I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this louder then. Because I don't like being told what to do. Oh no. So in conclusion,
you get lots of funny inside jokes and good moments and memories out of making the most of just making light of trying to get through the moment. And
do you think like it has affected like our quality of life?
Like I'd say our relationship.
Yeah.
And our lives and who we are as people is completely different than without it, because obviously any kind of adversity shapes people in their own journey, in their life, and their relationships, and their relations with friends, other family members, especially because we both, friends is a way smaller part of both our lives than probably like anyone else's.
Yeah.
So family and our relationship is like 99% of our
like people don't live their lives like how we like to live ours. So that's why we pretty much gave up on friends. Because like we don't drink much, we don't smoke, we don't do drugs, we don't go out on the town, we don't do things that most people
we don't
do
have
do.
hobbies like sports and activities that we
No, like no one else would be as supportive of me as you are.
It's not like, oh, a week's holiday off work. Like, we need to go away.
We need to plan something.
Yeah.
And no, we just like doing.
We might just sit at home, just.
Like, what if we don't want to do that day? Like, you know, like what if we don't want to? If say we go to we're planning to go to Henry Springs, what if we don't want to do it that day? Yeah, I just don't like making plans because of my anxiety, because like I said, maybe I don't want to do that day, or maybe I can't do that day, so I'm going to go and do this instead. But sometimes we do make plans, and sometimes, we have to cancel them.
There's things with how you are as a person too, like you might not really like the idea of like camping or something, but then there may be specific things in camping that make it a whole lot worse too. So that makes it like, oh, I definitely really wouldn't have wanted to have gone camping.
Oh, I didn't.
But now that we have this and this, well, that makes it even less desirable for.
I didn't mention like how I don't like being away from home, and like I don't like staying away from home.
But that's not your anxiety.
It is my anxiety. Yeah, I don't like being away from home because my
But you
anxiety.
were like that before you had your anxiety.
Yeah, I know, but like it's a million times worse now. Because I've been camping before, and you know I used to enjoy it, and now I don't because I like staying home. I like being home because it's predictable.
It is important to have that safe space. It's a hard thing. It's like balance between my way and your way, and the way that works best for us and. I
was saying, do you think it has affected like our lives? Because I feel like I get more my way than your way. Do you feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like, even without anxiety, like who you are as a person, you're dominant, and you're like, you know, the leader and the
that's exactly it. That's what you're like. That's what I'm like.
Like you said, it's like a really intricate spider web that could only work with you and me.
Yeah.
And that's only how it is right now because of every single thing over the last 9 years, and then in another, you know, however long from now it'll be completely different, and who knows what the next 90 years of it are gonna.
I've already told you I don't want to live to 80. But if I don't have my anxiety, well, yeah, of course, I'll want to live as, you know, long as I can. But if I do have my anxiety, please take me now.
No. Flowing fades to distance.
Alright, bye.